poor people.
There's clubs in London though.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but maybe not as intense, maybe. But
No.
How many times have you actually been to Bergain?
So twice. I went there twice, and both times they let me in, which is kind of like a miracle, I think.
Ooh.
But
So
yeah.
at this point, you're like a regular.
No, please don't say that.
They'll kick you out next time.
No. I like to be a regular in Bergain. You gotta do all the nasty stuff too, because you guys, it's unbelievable.
Like play show and tell and stuff.
It's unbelievable what happens in that club, dude. I mean, there's a reason why you're not allowed to take any photos, and they they tape on your phone, and you can't actually use it, and you don't see people using their phone like at all for like what.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't hate that. Like, I mean, it's kind of cliche, but every
great.
time
Dude,
I spend a significant amount of time without my phone, I actually really enjoy it. Like,
Yeah,
I always keep. I probably told the story way too many times for this podcast. Like the 2 weeks I spent in China with basically no internet, I still think about those 2 weeks so much, and not only because of China, but also because I really like disconnected from the world. I mean, it gets pretty cringe almost, but you get the idea, right?
No, totally. You know, I had the same situation like the other day when I went to like a concert, like a regular concert with my girlfriend, and man, like more than 50% of the people just like they were so busy filming this whole thing with their smartphones, and we were one of the regular ones that that went there to enjoy the music, and man, it's like looking
you're
back
not
at us,
regular. You're a rarity now. That's
maybe I'm a boomer, right?
The thing is, like, I think if you go to Bergain, once you believe you've made it and you've become a regular, that's where they stop letting you in, right? Because they feel like you're getting cocky, like, oh, he's getting too high, right? He's just like he thinks he's made it, but he's still 10 years away from it.
Definitely, yeah. Like everyone is basically on the same level there, which I really like.
What's the most messed up stuff you've seen in Bergain?
Oh, I don't think I'm allowed to talk about this on this podcast, dude,
this
because
is-
like, we might as well change the podcast from Every Eternal to Everyday Nasty, because
they played some Legacy with Death Threat Shaman, Leovold, Dreadhood Arcanist, Ren and Six, and Ragavan.
with nasty we meant exactly that, dude. There were people like dressed up like Death Right Shaman.
Somebody activated Survival of the Fittest in the back room.
Oh man, I wish, man.
It's got the survival room. Yeah.
Definitely.
Awesome. So with that, hello and welcome to Everyday Eternal number 171, your favorite, most deceptively named bi-weekly legacy podcasts. Today's show is not brought to you by Bergain. Do they actually sponsor stuff? No, they're too famous, right? They don't take sponsorships, and they don't sponsor. That's how you know you've made it. Yeah. But if you do take, or rather give sponsorships, you can support us on patreon.com/everydayeternal to support the running of the show directly. And with that, we took all the money in the world, all the money we have, and we apparently bought an Italian mansion for Callum. Callum, is it true? Like, you're in Italy right now?
Yes, I got here a couple of days ago now. It's quite nice to be here. I have a couple of friends that live kind of an hour outside Milan, like close to the Swiss border, really. And they're going on holiday, so I get to look after their cat and their flat. But they're around as well at the moment, so they've gone to the pub while I do this. It's a good deal.
Wait,
Yeah.
Okay, that means a lot to us that you joined us instead of going to the pub.
Oh, well, I'll go to the pub as soon as we finish.
Actually, I looked...
They stay up like really late here in Italy, so it's okay.
Well, like you are already at the pub. You just got really good noise cancelling.
Yeah.
Kind of was like a $10,000 setup. Like, he's in the middle of everything.
In the
He
garden.
can barely hear us. Cool. So, is it like Tuscany or something?
Not quite. I don't actually know the name of the region, but this is where it is in Tuscany. I'm just an idiot, but
Okay, rather like... okay.
The town's called Varese,
Okay, so which airport did you fly into?
Milan.
Okay, so
Bergamo.
further up now.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny, right? I feel like I thought about this on the way home from work today. I know more about the legacy geography of Italy than I know about like northern and western Germany legacy geography.
I mean,
I've probably played like 10 times as many tournaments in Italy than in any other parts of Germany.
it's because Italy is the European legacy capital.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like, I think there's like Italy, and like sometimes we used to say that about Prague, and at times it sometimes still is. And guys, we're gonna try to make A Coruña the next legacy co-capital of Europe. We are gonna see about that.
Heck yeah.
So I think we all booked our flights, right? So we're all ready to head on over to Impact Returns in late
yes.
July. Excited for that.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
ready to burn it's going to be so hot, and I'm like, I burn like nothing. So I'm like a D&T player. I burn.
Yeah, we had over 31 degrees in Munich today. But dude, I went to Greece. Like, everybody's going to the Mediterranean right now. We will have to find out where to send Kai. But I went to Greece for work, actually, to Rhodes. And we had like 37 degrees at some point. And the day after we left, there was an earthquake. So it's just like all the, I guess, natural catastrophes in one place. But it was so awesome. Shit, man. Like, I've been kind of lost, almost like what to do, what I want to do in life, like with Magic. Now, like, I'm not the crazy grinder anymore who like plays 20 tournaments. Like at the beginning of the year, I use all of my vacation for like the necessary days to go up to all the big legacy tournaments. I still enjoy it, and I'm more like picky now. That's why right now I'm only going to picked returns. But Rhodes, I went for kite surfing, and I've probably talked about this so much, but I've never actually done it because our company sells it. And then one day, like, we're sitting on the beach, and there's this old Greek guy, and I didn't even know he was like still kite surfing. And he's just like, I sit next to him, and he looks at me and he's like, "Yeah, you want to learn kite surf?" And I just realized, okay, I'm just gonna say yes. Like, I was, I don't know, scared. Like, I was hesitant, I guess. I didn't know whether I want to, could, should. I was just like, fuck it. You only live once. So, tell him yes. And then, okay, you, tomorrow, 10 o'clock. And then I show up at 10, and there's this awesome guy from South Africa, Stanley. And he gave me like a 3-4 hour lesson in kite surfing. And then the next day I go back and I go into the water with the Greek guy. And we do like body dragging and like even try water starts and everything. And I'm so hooked on that shit. Like, I kind of really want to get into it. Like, I have a lot of days off for the rest of the year. Didn't really know what to do, but dude, shit. Like, have you ever tried anything like that?
No, I haven't, but like personal recommendation is always the best. Like, I wish that some Greek person would just show up and ask me if I want to try out different taxes on the fly.
Like, what? I almost made a death and taxes joke, and I was like, no, let Kai say something.
Yeah. Like, wanna try death and taxes?
Yo, kids, first it is free. Actually, it was free for me, so we will see.
No, that's great.
Honestly, that's amazing.
Yeah, like I think like it's at some of the past full season Bologna, there's always been this talk about like doing like an actual football match between Magic players. If you get like two like medium-sized teams together, because there is still also like a lot of different overlaps, right, in the Magic community. Like, some people do sports, some really like, I don't know, like hiking or music or something else, and
I think to nasty clubs.
Oh, going to nasty clubs. That's or like cycling all the way from Munich to Bologna, for example.
Holy shit, twice actually.
Yeah, man. Like, that's crazy. People have like so many hobbies other than Magic. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. Like, honestly, I've always enjoyed Magic the most when it wasn't like my die-hard thing that I really wanted to do well at, and that's basically where it is right now. Awesome. But Kai, and speaking of like going to all these places, you like just before the tournament, you sent me a WhatsApp. That's actually like text from the future for all the American listeners. And your booth is actually insane. Like the Savatarix experience, I want to call it at this point, because this is not just a booth, this is like a proper experience. Like, what are all the tournaments you're going to go to and gonna have the booth where people can basically like do everything?
So I'm gonna properly announce it on. I think like by the time you're listening to this, it's probably already out. But I will.
Dude, you're underestimating.
Yeah.
My editing speeds.
I'll be going to 5 different events all across the globe and call it my first World Tour 2024.
The big Savatarix World Domination Tour or something.
Please, yeah. If you want
the World Enchantment Tour. Okay, that's great.
I give a lot of people the opportunity to kick my ass. So that's the easy way to put it.
So how long until you show up in Australia?
Ooh. Like ever since I connected with people like Dukes on Twitch and and some others like Kale, for example, and like I always wanted to go to Australia so badly because the community seems insane. Like, from all the people I've known, like they told me the stories about going to Sydney and Brisbane, and they have like an insanely friendly, welcoming legacy community over there.
Tons of people in Melbourne as well. Like, I know so many legacy players from Melbourne and Brisbane. That's just something else.
And they used to have GPs back in the day, right? So, man, like I missed out so much because like from Japan, I think a flight to Australia is actually not that far. It's like maybe like a couple of hours, maybe. But
a couple of hours. Honestly, okay. Let's. How long is a flight? Because I think it's longer than that. How long is a flight from Australia to Japan. Okay, give me a number.
I guess 4 hours.
Yeah, it's more like 10.
Shit.
Honestly, like you can go to Europe quicker than you can go to Australia.
Oh, god damn it.
Close enough, I guess.
But like, like the Australians are so isolated from everything else. I just want to know what the metagame looks like what people do over there. Oh man.
Yeah, once we've paid off Callum's mention, we can look into like buying something in Australia.
Once we have like a million Patreon subscribers, yeah.
By the way, and speaking of that, did any of you like actually do any speculation on the Modern Horizons 3 cards? Because I remember during our last episode, we looked into a ton of them. Most notably, we kind of completely skipped over one of the most famous ones, as you do in this podcast, Waxing Bobble, never heard of you. But like we made a pretty big, bold forecast, right? That Psychic Frog is going to hit big and hit hard. And from what I've seen, and I'm very much going by the awesome tier list that Callum actually made, this is one of the most... Callum, are you back? Okay. So we got Callum back. Actually, speak of the devil, because Callum, we are actually talking about your tier list right now, because that's quite a lot of work that you put into the...
I was so bored one
morning. I want to look
work.
into it. Oh yeah, shout out to Callum's boss if you're listening to this.
Yeah.
Honestly, probably your boss also plays Magic, who knows?
Yeah.
But dude, how are we gonna tackle this? Because Modern Horizons 3, like even if I just go by the top 2 tiers that you have here, there are more cards coming to Legacy as potential playable cards even than we expected. And I want to make it clear here, we already read out most of these cards in the last episode. I don't think we need to read out all of them again. I guess for the more niche ones that we didn't expect, we're gonna do that, but this is not gonna be Magic the Reading or something.
Mm-hmm.
So give me some kind of background. So does Modern Horizons really have that many playable cards? I mean, obviously you completely misranked the one that what's it called, the Creation of Everson, the Birth of Everson?
No,
that's like in the lowest category of tiers, dude. Like how is that even possible?
So that one I did put it like, so just to give a quick brief like thing of, we'll link the tier list, but I put it into like, there's an S tier or like a new archetype enabling, top tier, which is like the best cards going to a tier 1 deck.
See, by the way, you're smart. You're actually reading out the tier list before talking about the cards. That's why we have you on the podcast.
Then I put strong, which means it's going to be like, it's going to be played in Legacy. It's not going to warp the format. It's not going to break anything, but it's just a very good card. Then I got fine. This is my safety valve of like, oh, it could be pretty good. And like, there's 1 or 2 cards in here that probably should go up and stuff. They're very good. But this is I put fine, could move up or down tier list. So they could be trash, and or they could be really good and move up. And a few cards have already moved up and a few cards have moved down. One of the cards that moved down has been Creation of Avacyn, which Julian thought was really good. So I put that into the fringe play / will be tried / Nick fit tier. And I mean that with all the love in my heart, because I do love Nick fit, and I even played a league with Nick fit when the set came out and stuff. But
guys, you will be so mad about yourself like when this card starts destroying Legacy a couple of years from now.
So my argument for this is, I think it was too slow. I didn't rate it. I think it's too easy to interact with. It's like a kind of okay Duke. I know you can Dark Ritual out.
Wait, are we actually talking about the card?
Yeah, Creation of Avacyn. just very quickly, but I want to give a quick bit of context. Like, so Max Distortion thought it was pretty good. Well, he thought there was potential. He wasn't like saying it's busted, broke, or anything. But I said I don't see it, and we were just like, look, let's see when it comes along. And then when you said on the podcast, I was like, maybe I'm wrong. So I put it in the fine, could move up or down. And then Max messaged me after it came out saying, I've done terribly in the league. The card's terrible. Don't worry. So that's my basis for it. I haven't played it myself, but it's called Slow and Tell, and it's just slow.
Yeah, I also kind of missed what it actually does, because I think when they bounce it, you don't actually get the extra card, right? Yeah. There was something like, it actually didn't work the way I expected it to work. So I can see that it hasn't destroyed Legacy yet until we unlock its full powers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So how about we start at the top, because that's the card that basically everybody has been talking about, and it's Psychic Frog, right? That's basically the new Psycha talk.
Yeah. So we massively underrated this card.
Did we really? Honestly, wasn't our last episode called like Psychic Frog is like the next big thing or something?
Yeah, and we
I even put it on the title, and we still underrated it.
Well, I said it might be better than Dreadhorde Arcanist, and then I was like, I don't know, that's a big thing. It's better than Arcanist. It's absolutely insane. This card is so busted. I think it'll get banned at some point. It's gonna be another one of the threats that gets banned for Days of Sins, but Days is a legacy card, and that's going to happen, and I'm happy about that. The way things are. But yeah, I've played a few different decks with this, like, and people are obviously just putting it into scam. I've been trying to play it in like a kind of Grixis Delveless deck, which is like a mid-range deck, and dear God, this thing is just so broken. It's like, as we said in the last podcast when we were talking about it, it's just good in multiples. You can't block it. Like, it's so hard to block, because I've played against it as well. And you're like, okay, I've got a 5/5, and they're attacking me with a 1/2, but they have 5 cards in hand. So if I block and they discard 4 cards, like, sure, you get the 4 cards, but then you've lost your big creature. It's a huge tempo swing, and then they've still got a 5/6 that's like hitting you. And the other thing it does is, like, if you feel behind in a game, I did this against Eldrazi a couple of times. Like, you just discard your 5 cards in hand and give it flying 2 or 3 times, and they win. Like, the biggest wake up call for me was a game where I was on the play. I had 2 Psychic Frogs in my hand. My opponent goes, turn 1, Swamp, Dark Ritual, Thoughtseize you, take a frog or something, and then they cycled a troll and reanimated it. So they've got a turn 1 troll and Thoughtseize me. But I just played a frog, and they're at 12, because for the Thoughtseize and the reanimate. So they can't attack, because I'm winning the race. So they just can't attack. And I have 5 cards in hand, so, or 6 maybe. So if they attack with the troll, I just then pump the frog and I kill them in 2 turns. So they didn't attack, because I can block and trade if I want to, or I can just choose not to. And
So you're saying, like, your 1/2 was actually holding back the giant troll?
a turn 1 troll, yeah.
Which is good news, right? Because like it's so hard to interact with the troll anyways. I still don't understand why that guy has like super giga menace.
This is a bad story just because they had to attack anyway, because I get to choose whether they block or not, because I can give it flying. But I chose to just make it a 6/7 and gave it flying twice, and they died. So they died on turn 4 to my 2-drop, like nothing else. I didn't play a single other spell. So yeah,
good magic, huh?
It just lets you race. A couple of times I've had a Murktide in play and just discarded 3 instants and sorceries, exiled them to give it flying, and then you've got a +3/+3 in your Murktide.
Really nice.
And it's just like, it's like 15 damage out of nowhere. It's just, and then like discarding cards to turn on Delirium for DRC and for growing Nethergoyf as well. And this is the things you want to be doing. And then this is all saying, making it bigger. If you're against combo, it's still an Ophidian, like, and it pitches to Force, and it pitches to Grief. And
like, if you're really in a pure racing situation, you it basically grows itself by 2 every turn, right?
Yeah. And it's just absurd. So yeah, I think it's probably the best 2-drop in Legacy.
Whoa, that's a bold claim.
I mean, it's
like, what was the best 2-drop in Legacy before, like Bowmasters or something?
Yeah,
of course,
it's definitely better than Bowmasters. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I can't think of any other 2-drops that are good, really. I mean, there's a bunch, but like, I think it's probably the best creature in Legacy.
It's the best creature. Yeah. Dude, now we're making progress here.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even I think. I know it is. It's crazy. So yeah, we did hype it up, and it's everything it got hyped up to be.
Even way better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So help me out again. You said you played it in the Devil's Grixis show. What other shows do we see this in right now?
So obviously Scam. So like, it's just absurd and scam, because it pitches to Grief if you don't need it. It pitches to Force of Will, and then it's
even a discard outlet for Atraxa if you
discard outlet for Atraxa or any of your other creatures to reanimate them and stuff. And then it's so good against Graveyard Hate, because it's just like, it doesn't care about the graveyard really at all. I know you can give it flying with the exile things, but it just sidesteps it. So this Grixis like mid-rangey Delver-esque shell I've been trying is very graveyard reliant. So I'm scared of Hearse or Rest in Peace, because it has Nethergoyfs, DRCs, and a couple of Murktides. But the idea is, like, if they have that, you just play a frog. And, like, Leyline already felt pretty bad against Scam, and, like, Surgical and Fairy were close to unplayable because they just grief you first. So, like, Hearse and Rest in Peace are kind of the only good graveyard hit against it. And now they have Frog, which just really sidesteps it. Like, I don't know. It's... Yeah, something needs to be done about that deck, and now they just got the best creature in their deck. It's quite wild. So, yeah, Frog Apocalypse, I'm calling it.
So where are we going from here? Is this going to be... You already mentioned, right? It's kind of awkward because you can't really do all that much about it, because it like doesn't really use the graveyard, and in Legacy, just like the quote-unquote play more removal thing has never really been a good, piece of advice.
Removal is good against it. That's like a fair saving grace. In this Delvery kind of style deck, I had 2 bolts, because I was like, bolt's not very good because it doesn't kill the frog or troll. And then after playing like 2 leagues, I just cut all the bolts immediately because playing against frogs and trolls. So I've got pushes and dismembers. Push is good against it. Swords is good against it. It is a creature you can kill, but in the same way that Dreadful Darkness died to removal, it's the same kind of thing. Like,
yeah, basically, like if you remove it, like you're on par, but if you don't remove it, it runs all over you.
Yeah.
Which is always like kind of. I mean, the best case scenario is where they like try to grow it and then you eventually push it.
Yeah.
You know, like kind of like in the scenario you described earlier, where they had like a big creature and you grew the frog like really big.
Yeah.
And then if they hit it,
but it's a situation that's only going to come up when they don't really have a better play. And so if they didn't have a better play, at least they can go for that. It's kind of like a win-win in a way. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a lot of like strategic play too, right? Because like you have to make them grow the frog so you can use your push basically for like, you know, so you have to like you gotta have the dominant, like the better board. So they need to feel like pressured and they need to go all in on the psychic frog, and that's when you push them.
Yeah.
But it's such a unique fringe situation that doesn't really come up that often.
Oh, yeah. Is it basically like when they go for a Hail Mary and then you shut them down, but you were already had anyways?
Exactly.
Because like in a vacuum, like discarding cards from your hands to put a +1/+1 counter on one of your creatures is actually not that crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's actually
bad.
It's actually kind of terrible, right? Like it's like a wild mongrel swipes basically.
But mongrel is great. Like it's the thread of it that's so good. It was great, but it's the thread of growing it. So like another example, I played against Eldrazi a lot because that's become a thing, and a couple of games I played like turn 1 Nethergoyf, turn 2 Frog. And my opponent with all their 4/4 Eldrazi is just immediately brickwalled, because what if so I've cracked a fetch land, I play these two creatures, so my Nethergoyf is like a 1/2 and my Frog is a 1/2, but they cannot attack with their 4/4s or 5/5s, because what if I just discard like a Mishra's Bauble, an instant, a sorcerer, and a creature? I've now got 2 5/6s.
Right.
And you eat their board, and then you attack, and you've got 2-turn lethal, and then you build up your board, and it's the threat of making it bigger. It just shuts them down.
That's exactly what you were saying before, right? Like comparing Dreadhorde Arcanist to Psychic Frog is that Arcanist only does something on offense, right? It's terrible on defense. It's just a 1/3. But the Psychic Frog is really good on offense too, and crazy good at defense too. Like because you can constantly threaten a big giant monster like a.
So basically, what I'm getting out of this is this should have been a 3-mana card.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think for 3 mana, people would probably not play this card though.
Yeah, I don't think it would be played
it's somewhere in between, because we have so many good Magic cards for 3 mana.
Yeah, the little subtle thing for me
really high.
Is it should have been a 1/1. Like, I know that you can just discard a card so it survive Bowmasters and stuff, but the extra pip of toughness makes it so that you're just discarding a whole less card because creatures are generally like round, right? They're a 4/4, a 3/3, or a 2/2. So it's a whole extra card you get to like keep to eat something in combat, essentially.
Right.
So okay. So how do you feel about this card being legal right now? Because I don't know. You know, I'm getting kind of swayed, I want to say, like by the artwork. Like I see an awesome artwork, and
it is really cool.
It's just cool, and it's also like a throwback to one of the most legendary cards in Magic history. So I'm kind of like feeling, oh, dude, this is an amazing card. But what you tell me makes me feel like this might actually end up being like horrible,
I think,
toxic, whatever.
Yeah, it will. But it's incredibly fun to play with. Partly because it's new, partly because it's busted, and it's fun playing with new busted things. So, Julian, you would really enjoy it. It's like good in Delvery decks and stuff. It is just...
I love putting my opponents like in these positions, right? Where they're like, dude, but if he discards, then it's going to be so bad for me. Oh, no, but he also draws a card. I just like... When they hate being in the spot that they are in right now, that's where I thrive. This is my jam.
Yeah, I mean, play it while you can before it gets too toxic.
Wizards of the Coast has been doing such a great job at printing overpowered creatures that look really cute, right? Like I also think about like Ragavan, and everyone's like, it's like, dude, it's a fucking like stupid little monkey, you know? But it's
Reality Smasher. Yeah, I see where you're going.
Yeah, the biggest cutie ever.
Dude, I have like a little Reality Smasher plush at home. They're actually like there are these Kratos Behemoth plushes, by the way. I think the Professor has one, and I think there's somebody who makes them, but there might only be like 1 or 2 in the world.
Yeah,
because I remember I wanted one at some point, but it was apparently like almost impossible to get. Cool. So Psychic Frog, it's the truth. Yeah, actually that was the title of the last episode. Psychic Frog is the truth.
I even saw some like naysayers, like you posted on Reddit, and someone was like,
what, really?
Frog, are you serious? I think I saw someone say that.
Yeah. I think that was somebody, but most of the replies I've seen, they were pretty like, yeah, this card's going to be good.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But we just didn't know how good it's going to be.
Yeah, I think it was fairly accepted as like, yeah, this makes sense to be really good, and then it's just been better than everyone expected.
Is the frog even a thing in Vintage? Could we see it in Vintage?
Yeah, they won the last Vintage challenge. 4 of them in Lurrus.
Why did I even ask?
Yeah. I mean, it's like a perfect Lurrus card, right?
It's like somebody created this to go straight to Lurrus, very much so. I'm loving it. Okay. Let's move on from the frog. People out there, like, have your fun with the frog for as long as it lasts. And honestly, from my side, it looks like an amazing card to play with. And honestly, it also looks kind of like a great card to beat weaker players because they don't really know how to like evaluate situations. I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna end up being the weaker player facing the frog. Although I don't play as much anymore. Who knows?
It has some weird things. Like I played against Rich Cali in a league yesterday evening, and we both had frogs, and we both had like similar numbers of cards. And then we were playing. It was like a Delver-esque mirror. He was on Scam, but not with the Attractor and stuff. And I was playing this Grixis Delver thing. Very similar decks though. And we're going back and forth. And then all of a sudden I made a really bad attack with my frog. I said, oh no, he's got one more card in hand than me. He just gives it flying and then blocks mine. And I knew he had a Brazen Borer from like a Mishra's Bauble. So I was like, yeah, he just bounces my DRC and blocks the frog and blah, blah. And I was like, that happened because it was such an obvious play to eat my thing. And I was like, oh no, the DRC goes back to my hand. I can discard it to the frog now. And then so that happened. So it gets weird. Like, you got to remember, like, Days is also like a kind of a free thing because you bounce a land to discard as well. I'm getting used to that.
Oh, true. Oh my god. Yeah. Growing the frog out of nowhere. Actually, not really out of nowhere.
Not out of nowhere, but like you get to Daze something and keep up your size and stuff.
Yeah.
But it has play to it. Yeah. I lived the dream. I gotta say one more thing. I lived the dream by playing a Murktide as like I had a stocked graveyard, so everything. Played an 8/8 Murktide. And then by discarding it since the sorceries actually, because there's a Chalice in play, then I discarded Detective's Phoenix, put it onto the Murktide and attacked for like 15 or 16. Well, I guess the frog was huge as well, so I just attacked for like 20 and out of nowhere.
You even told us about that like on the last episode, right? That's something you want to do?
Yeah, so it happened.
Kinda.
Did like 20-ish damage. They were on 14, so yeah, anyway.
Okay, awesome, dude.
Next one.
I'm kind of scared, but I'm also excited. Like I've always like enjoyed the play patterns that Psychotalk produced, so who knows? We will see. Moving on to the next card, I think we didn't talk about this one, so I'm gonna quickly read it out. The only other card you put in S tier with regards to their impact on Legacy right now, and that's Nardu Winged Wisdom. It's a 3/4 legendary creature bird wizard for a colorless, a green and a blue, flying. Oh boy, okay. Creatures you control have, whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, put it into your hand. This ability triggers only twice each turn, and I have no idea how they came up with all of this. Like, this is just like way too good, right?
Yeah, so this one...
So I think...
Sorry, okay.
I think like Wizards probably made a little bit of a mistake on this, but they should have said whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell of ability your opponents control. Probably that's at least what I'm thinking, because it has a similar like Leovolt type of vibe. You know, like you play Nardu, and then whenever your opponent wants to cast a removal spell on any of your creatures, then you get at least, you know, like a trigger out of it and get a little bit of value. I think that's what they probably thought when they made this card, but obviously Magic players are way too fucking smart, and they broke the card immediately with like Shuko and Nomads and Core, and really anything that targets for 0 mana. I've seen like Violet symbiotes targeting this, you know.
Dude, first of all, I see what you're saying about like only making a trigger when the opponent targets it, but I think in that case it wouldn't really need that just ability triggers only twice each turn thing, because most of the time it would just be gun, right? Unless the opponent tries to kill it like twice in a turn because you force-fulfilled the first one.
Okay.
So I think they kind of wanted that thing where like you target it and they target it or something. I don't know. It's just like they must have been aware of this card being potentially broken, right?
It's weird.
I honestly would guess they were okay with it.
Because the way to try and word it so that like the whole ability only triggers twice would be worded completely differently as well. So I don't think that's a mistake either. It's just so pushed. I don't think we covered it at all in the spoilers, because until I saw someone play it, like when it came out, I didn't realize the lands come into play untapped, because you just assume that they come into play tapped, because why would they come into play untapped? Yeah. It's so absurd. And so I didn't realize that at all, and then now it's a crazy card. I think
absolutely.
If we're talking about the tier list, I think I've got it too high. I think it's just in top tier. for Legacy. But that's still really good.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I said like, I think the frog is the only kind of S tier thing in the set.
Yeah, you're basically saying like that's not the fault of Nardu, that it would be like in top tier, not in S tier, but it's just because frog is so crazy pushed that it's far ahead of everything else.
Probably, yeah. I think Nardu is just really, really good in Legacy, but it's not as busted in Legacy as it is in like Modern or something. It is still a 3-mana. It's a 3-mana 3/4 though. Like it's still insanely pushed stats, and it is really good. And I think it'll either go into or make its own archetype. It's probably tier 1, so it is top tier, but it's just not like busted, might be banned, S tier kind of stuff.
Honestly, like the way I look at the card, I would feel like this is gonna be banned in Commander in like no time at all.
Oh, it will.
Like if you can like have immediate access to this card, and then probably like have 2 or 3. But on the other side, like Commander players, they don't care about extra cards, but I guess they care about extra mana. Yeah, extra mana is like the biggest thing for them. Like for us, drawing extra cards is a big thing, but for them, playing an extra land is a big thing,
in
right?
CDH, no,
did I get this right?
Much.
There was the first tournament that this set was legal was 3 out of the 4 top 4 was Nardu.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not surprised. Okay.
Because it's so unique, right? Like most of the Magic cards, like either add a lot of mana or draw cards, but this guy does both. And there are only a very few cards in Magic in general, I think, that do give you both card advantage and mana advantage. Like one of the best examples is like Paradoxical Outcome, I think, because that card draws a lot of cards, but it also resets all your marks in and your Grim Monoliths and whatnot, so you also net mana. But Nardu is like, if you have like something to, that trick, it makes it like trigger like what, like 4, 5, 6 times per turn. That's when things get out of control.
I just realized we haven't explained like how it goes off. Do you want to go through that?
Yeah, I was gonna ask because there's probably like a couple of different ways. Kai already mentioned some of them. Like I would guess one of them is the traditional like Cephalid Breakfast shell, which doesn't really play that color combination, but I guess you can splash it.
I mean, there are a few ways how to use Nardu. Like the most, like quote unquote, like for Legacy players, obvious one was Cephalid Breakfast, where you have like a secondary creature next to Cephalid Illusionist, where you can attach Shuko on it or use Nomads of Encore as a plan B, so to speak, to just have a grip full of cards and more lands in play, and have way more like game actions. And you might actually find enough mana and Cephalid Illusionist to then close out the game. But like there are so many more other shells. I think like the most like the busted ones are the ones with Field of the Dead that basically where you hit Field of the Dead, and once you have 7 different lands in play, all the zombies you make can also be targeted with your Shukos, and then they also trigger the
and they create
ability.
extra zombies because of the Field of the Dead.
Oh yeah.
And then you keep going. Oh my god. Dude, you just blew my mind. I completely missed the part where it's not only for Nardu, but any creature you control can trigger twice each turn.
This is why I wanted to explain it. So like, so in Modern it's mostly with a Shuko, which you can like get off Saga and stuff, but in Legacy you have Nomads and Core as well. And in Modern there is like a 3-mana Nomads something. And so you can also play it with the new Nantuku, which is like a 2-mana 1/1. It basically has landfall, make a 1/1 token. And so every land that you hit is going to make you tokens as well. And then if you draw creatures, you play those creatures, then you keep going. And if you draw a second Nardu, you can play the second one, and then all of your creatures have a new instance of when it gets targeted.
That's basically a new... Holy shit, dude.
The Modern deck wins with Thassa's Oracle. Like, it gets his whole deck into play. It's a combo. Like they're playing.
They're gonna be like, watch me, and then
they're playing.
They're
playing Summoner's Pact because you just win on the same turn. It's a combo deck.
This is hilarious.
So it's everyone is just already assuming it's going to get banned in Modern, and as I said, Legacy it's really good. You can play it in like a Stoneblade shell, or you can play it in Cephalid Breakfast, or you can play it in like Yorion, Greenstone Zenith shells. There's quite a few directions to take it, but all of them you have.
You know what somebody sent me? Like our podcast supporter, Testacular, and I think kinda as well, they sent me lists that basically place this in like an elf list. Like basically old school, almost like elf ball, like no glimpse in it, but it plays basically the same, which is hilarious to me because like you can use Quirion Ranger, you can even use it on the opponent's turn to get like all the triggers again. You can use Wildwood Simulator. I think Kai, you already mentioned that. The list even played Elfish Herder, which like is, for those who don't know, I played the card 25 years ago in my school. It's green for, I want to say a 1/1, of course, 1/1 probably. And it's just like a green 1/1, and you can pay 1 green mana and give target creature trample. And I guess that's another way to trigger these things. And now you imagine all of this in a deck that plays for Gaia's Cradle. And since all of this comes into play untapped, holy shit, like this is pandemonium. This is completely nuts. This makes me want to play this so badly.
Well, Testicular messaged me saying, "Hey Callum, can you tell Julian to try this deck?" So here we go. You've got it.
Me and then he messaged. Okay, I gotta try it. I very much gotta try this.
Yeah,
very much so. So how do you guys feel about this card being legal? Like, is this gonna be a thing for Legacy going forward? Because I don't really get the vibes that like, this is toxic.
I think Nardu is fine. Nardu is probably like super fun to play. I don't know if it's exactly fun to play against, but it can be power blasted daisies, yada yada yada. Like the mana cost 3 mana is a thing. The only thing that kind of bums me here is that it's a toughness 4 bird, and I was told back in the day that you always bolt the bird, but this bird cannot be bolted. You know.
that's a fair complaint. Man. Yeah. It's also notably,
push the bird.
I played against it today in a league, and they had it with Caracas, and it was just like really obnoxiously hard to deal with. Also, people are playing with lighted halflings, so you get to like make this and your Teferis uncounterable, which is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I agree with
Kai.
Kai.
They have Caracas. So basically, you try to remove it, so they draw 2 extra cards. Then they bounce it, so they draw 1 extra card.
Yeah.
This is nuts.
I was playing Miracles, and I played a Terminus, and so they Caracased it. I tried to sort it in response, and they played something else, and they hit 2 forces off both of their triggers. It was just like,
oh my goodness.
As you do,
because you can just hit a force and then play it. So
okay, don't tell me any more about this. No, I hate it again.
but I agree with Kai.
Okay,
I think it's just going to be very good in Legacy, and it's fine. It'll get banned in Modern, though, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. So, moving on, we got the only other card then, I guess, in top tier next to Nardu, and that's the card, I want to say, like, that's the card that has been talked about the most in Legacy and in the lead up to Modern Horizons 3, and that's Necrodominance.
Do you want to take it away, Kai?
This is like, we're in Legacy in 2024, like, Psychotalk is legal, Necro is legal. What's going on here? How good is this card actually? Because Kai, I think you had a lot of opinions on that one.
I had a lot of opinions on this. I was probably like among all the Dark Ritual players, gamers out there. I've been like the most hyped about this card, but I think I was terribly wrong. This card, in short story, I think this card sucks. Actually, I think it sucks. And here's why, right? So obviously, drawing cards for life is a cool thing, yada yada yada. And there is this new archetype, I think, by Tony Scapone. It's like this new oops all spells type of like Necro Tendril stack that goes off in your own end step. Because you cast Born Upon a Wind and give everything flash, and then you storm off and basically find what's it called? Besiege the Mirror for Tendrils, right? But that deck has also like a pretty high fail rate, I think, because it's basically Necrodominance or nothing or bust. So that deck is not as consistent as other turn 1 decks such as Oops All Spells, I think. And I think I mentioned on the previous podcast that I'm gonna try it out in Doomsday. But what ended up happening is that like I necroed for like maybe like 2, 3, 4 cards maybe. And but I always had to go back to 5 cards in my hand, and the 5 cards had to be really good to carry me through the next couple of the next turn basically. So I always wanted to have like a force plus a pitch, maybe like a cantrip or like a Doomsday or something like that. And it was not always like that. Like sometimes I ended up having like a couple of cantrips in my hand that weren't really doing anything, and while I was taking damage and I couldn't really defend myself. And one time I actually went down to 1 life and couldn't even cast Doomsday, and I was completely locked under my own Necrodominance. And that was a game against Enchantress.
So, I saw that one. You streamed that one, right?
Yeah, I did. So Necrodominance, like it's really like playing with fire, I think. And you have to warp your deck drastically to make this card work. And even then, you rely so heavily on Necrodominance that your deck becomes really inconsistent. It's tough. It's tough. I'm gonna say it out loud. It's not a card for Doomsday. I was really wrong. I thought it was a card for Doomsday, but there are other cards that are way better. For example, the One Ring. I would happily pay 1 more and play the One Ring in Doomsday rather than Necrodominance.
That's pretty much been my impression with the card as well. I think Tony's build is probably the best I've seen. It's mostly the only one I've seen, to be fair. Like, I haven't seen a ton of other builds, but like I was watching Preslav, who's build or burn, right? He was streaming like a slower version the other day, and at the beginning of the league, he said, "I don't think this is good. I just want to try it," and it looked really bad. Like, it was just exactly the same thing. Like, okay, you draw into a brainstorm or a ponder, but you need to keep paying life, and you can't defend yourself. It was not good there. So I do think it's a very good Oops style deck, though. Like, it does have inconsistencies, but so does Oops. It doesn't use the graveyard at all, which is like takes away a ton of interaction. So I think it's a strong deck. I don't think it's broken, unless there's like a new build someone comes out with. But I think the play patterns are awful, because you're basically Force of Will, Force of Vigor, or like Mindbreak Trap to an extent, but they can just go Dark Ritual, Necro, and get around it. So the actual answers to our turn one, and they're playing Pact Navigation and Chancellor of the Annex, so those don't even always work. So especially on the draw, unless you're a Force of Will or a Force of Vigor deck, like, your options are very limited already, and it's just, do you have it? Do they have it? Do they brick? They're like 5% to brick on 19 cards or something. It happens sometimes. It's just bad gameplay either way, whether you're winning with it or you're losing with it or whatever. So I think it's just a strong deck, and it can like spike a challenge now and then. I don't think it's going to win long tournaments or big tournaments like 4 seasons kind of things, because it does have to run well, but it can spike for sure. So I wouldn't be surprised if it leaves the format at some point, just because it's strong and has this very poor play pattern. But I think it'll probably just trail off a bit as well.
Yeah, I think the thing that you just said, like about this thing being just not a fun playing experience, is exactly what my thoughts were, because you can't like let's say like Oops all spells, right? At least you can like surgical something, or you have maybe Fairy Macabre, or you have some way to interact with that deck.
Learn the Void,
Necrodominance, exactly. There's really not a lot you can do against this deck. I've seen the craziest thing I've seen was Hello Newton, who's always on Fiend Artisan Elves. He played 2 copies of Chancellor of the Annex in his sideboard.
What?
Yeah, dude. which is insane.
Newton never fails to disappoint when it comes to like trying to come up with new stuff.
He's like one of the most creative heads out there, but that alone shows me how limited the options are for non-blue decks to combat this archetype.
That doesn't even sound very good to me. They just like pay for their pedal or something. I don't know. But I think
they just like run out a pedal and then trade for it.
But like Force of Vigor is a good answer to it. But obviously only green decks get to do that, and you have to be heavy green. So like
So it's a big problem why we're not running like Mindbreak Trap. That this kind of circumvents Mindbreak Trap.
Exactly.
In a way, it reminds me a little bit of like Belcher, right?
Yeah.
Like Belcher also doesn't use the graveyard, like can kill you on the first turn like reasonably well. And we fight, like, if we actually expect Belcher style decks to show up, like non-blue decks, they will always run a Mindbreak Trap, right? That's the only thing to go about it.
Yeah, the problem is like once they know that you're in Mindbreak Trap, they can always go Dark Ritual, Necro, and then pay 19 life, and then they're gonna have one of their Pact of Negations for your.
Yeah, this is like when you play Mindbreak Trap against Doomsday, because like you got cards you want to take out, you bring in Mindbreak Trap, and then they go turn 1 Dark Ritual Doomsday. You're like,
exactly, same thing.
Yeah.
Maybe they need to ban Dark Ritual. I don't know. No, please don't. No. No. That's not what I said.
That's not what I said. Wizards. My uncle works at Wizards. You know,
Julian,
he's saying it's going to get banned tomorrow.
Should we co-sign that? Yep. All the podcasts.
Dude, there's nothing to sign. There's nothing to sign.
Everybody agree, like, you know, Kai is going to become the next Death and Texas guy.
I mean, that's why I'm not working at Wizards. See?
Cool. Speaking of another black card, I think this one we kind of underestimated, right? That's Nethergoyf. I think we talked about how it could, like, I think Callum, you might have mentioned that it could have more potential than we saw in it. And I kind of wanted it to be good, but you listed it in the very top of strong. So basically the 4th most influential card of the set thus far.
So I started it in like fine, could move up or down, and then I played 2 leagues with it myself, and I moved it straight to the top. It's really good. It's very close to just a 1-mana Goyf and you can buy it back later, which comes up sometimes. I've done it a few times, but like a 1-mana Goyf is really strong. The downside of like only being affected by your own graveyard has only come up a couple of times. Like it's a lot less of a drawback than I expected. So it's very quickly. So the other thing is you do have to build your deck around it. I think normal Goyf, you don't really have to. You just play some of your spells and your opponent helps you out there. This one, I've been playing it with Dragon Rage Channeler and Mishra's Bauble. I think it really wants to be alongside those at least. You can play it without it, but then it'll be like a 1 mana 3/4 pretty commonly, which is fine but not crazy. But yeah,
it's so crazy. Like, this is Legacy. We talk about 1 mana 3/4. Nah, it's fine.
I think 4/5 is
I mean,
like,
it's the truth, right?
yeah, it's true. But like, I think 4/5 is what you want to be aiming for consistently. That's what makes it a good card, right? 1 mana 4/5.
Yeah, basically that's the cutoff, right? Otherwise, it would be like a slightly better Wildner Kettle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it otherwise would be, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because I said, like, it has this ability for 2 and a black, so 3 mana. You can exile any number of other cards from your graveyard with 4 or more card types among them, and then you escape it, so it comes back into play. But like, that will shrink it by exiling them as well. So you do need to have a lot of things hit your graveyard. So cantrips, fetch lands, Dragon Rage Shaman.
Oh, so it's not like the traditional escape thingy where you have to exile 5 cards like on Uro,
No,
but
it's
actually like I always
Delirium.
thought that like escape is Exile Delirium. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I mean, it has, and again, it has like crazy good synergy with Murktide Regent again, right?
Yeah,
you can secretly pump it.
In one way it doesn't, the other way it doesn't, right?
Yeah, I had them be a little bit awkward where I had Netherglyph in play and then wanted to play Murktide and it shrank it a bit. But I don't know. These decks, you need to find a happy place between like how weak you want to be to graveyard hate, and then all of a sudden you just like play a frog and you don't care. But yeah this card is really good.
I have a friend of mine, and he's always like, you don't combine cards that like try to eat your graveyard and try to have cards that like, I don't know, exist because of your graveyard, you know, that kind of dis-synergy. And he always like says, no, decks that do that are bad. And I think that's a very limiting way to think about it.
Yeah.
Because if you want to maximize your potential, I think you gotta find, as you mentioned, like a balance, right? You can't like rule it out because the power level is just so high.
For sure. Like, so the number I've been playing with that I found is like a nice spot is 4 Dragon Rage Channeler, 3 Netherglyphs, and 2 Murktides. And then frogs like do actually help you get to these cards in your graveyard sometimes as well. And then baubles and just your normal like removal and force of wills and cantrips and stuff. So like that's what I found like a kind of sweet spot so far after a few leagues. But yeah, you don't want to go like 4 Netherglyphs, 4 Murktides, and some other things that eat the graveyard. Like, you will just have them be awkward. But yeah, if you can find a middle ground, then it's great. So I don't know if like
when we talk about these decks, are they still playing Delver?
I've not been, but the ones that have been like 5-0ing kind of have. I found that the deck grinds so well, especially with Frog, and I also don't want Bolt, so I don't want to be this tempo deck, so I just didn't play Delver, didn't play Bolts now. And it's just like, it's a mid-range deck playing Wasteland and Daze because they're just good. So, yeah. But I think,
we're kind of
most
like
people
4 stifles away from Team America.
Or Hymns and Stifle.
Yeah, something like that, you know?
Can you hymn yourself to grow your Goyf? Yeah, just hymn yourself through your Goyf.
You probably can.
Yeah.
Cool. So is this like a card that you expect to see like regularly in leagues now?
Yeah, I do. I still say like it requires deck building around it. So it does. Again, DRC and Bauble have been like enough to just make it a very good card. But I think I've seen some like straight blue blacklists, some scam lists even play Bauble in them as well because it's just a fine card to play. So it could probably go in some much more creature-based mid-range decks as well. So it's just a really strong card, but it does require some deck building around, I think. And yeah, well, I think this will just be in the format as a kind of playable card for a long time.
Yeah,
cool. So get your copies now.
Yeah, I also kind of see it like a similar to what's it called? Oh man, you gotta help me out on this. Black 3/3 shadow 3/2 shadow. Doughty Voidwalker.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of like a Delver-ish card that might also come in post sideboard, maybe from a couple of combo decks. You know, like it has a reasonable size, doesn't cost a lot of mana. It's really good at doing the speed down thing, especially when your opponents take out removal. So
yeah.
It's another card that I can lose to when I played Painter in the quarterfinals of a challenge.
Definitely.
Against these really meta decks, and I was just like, now I gotcha. And they go like, turn 1 Voidwalker, turn 2 Voidwalker.
Yeah.
Now it's gonna be Netherglyph, and I sit there with like all my ley lines and lanterns and what have you.
Exactly, because like ultimately, I think Doughty Voidwalker is just a threat, right? Like that attacks, like the ability that that you can cast something from exile almost never comes up. Like people don't do that very often because they're so focused on that combat thing. And Netherglyph is just faster. It's like half the cost for just 1 black mana. Like Doughty is kind of hard to cast sometimes. Like black is tricky.
You know, I'm waiting for the day where somebody goes like turn 1 Dark Ritual, triple Netherglyph. and then like attack me for 12 on the second turn or something because they have bobble or
Yeah.
Like, hear me out. I think I'm happy to lose that game then. Okay, you got me then.
yeah. It's definitely gonna make for a good Twitter screenshot.
Yeah, but actually,
cool.
Just a continuation of Netherglyph in a way. So this tier list of mine, like I just googled MH3 tier list and then copied it. So it doesn't have the commander cards on there, and there are a few good commander cards, and one of them is another Goyf, which is a much better like combo pivot, I think. And this is Barrow-Goyf. So I'll tell you what it does, because I don't know if you guys even know. It's 2 and a black for a low Goyf, and it's basically got Tarmogoyf stats. So its power and toughness equal to the number of types in all graveyards. So it's not like Barrow-Goyf. It's not like Nethergoyf. It's like a normal Tarmogoyf. And then it has Death Touch and Lifelink. And whenever Barrow-Goyf deals combat damage to a player, you may mill that many cards. If you do, you may put a creature card from among them into your hand. So this is already top 8 of the Legacy Challenge as a 4 of in the sideboard of Wonder Pro in Doomsday. So it's just a great thing to Dark Ritual out.
Definitely, yeah, like way better than Necrodominance.
yeah.
I mean, this card was it's almost like specifically built for Legacy Doomsday post sideboard to combat Delver, because Lifelink is goated. Lifelink is goated.
Yeah, Tarmogoyf, if you can Dark Ritual out with Lifelink is crazy good. And then
it's like a Batterskull basically, right?
Yeah, it's going to be huge, right? And then
kind of, yeah.
And then you like hit them and you mill cards and you get back a Street Wraith and you draw a card.
Okay, this is kind of awkward. Like, have you ever seen this before? Because the way I see this actually puts your opponent's cards into your hand. Like, this is something that Wizards has kind of like avoided for ever since I can imagine, right?
No, it mills it mills your library.
Oh, it mills your own library. Okay, I thought it milled the opponent and then you get to put a card for, which would be so awkward. Like,
I think they'll never do that. Yeah. That's too awkward. Like, you weren't even allowed to put stickers on your opponent's cards. They'll never let you take your opponent's cards. I guess Stack Faden does it, but yeah. Stealing them.
Kinda.
But yeah, this is a cool one. I think we'll see more. We'll see the same amount of both, I think. But I think we'll see Barrow-Goyf from combo decks quite a lot, actually.
Like as a pivot, like post-combat? Post sideboard?
Yeah. I think it's maybe the best pivot card. Like, Shieldred is still great as well, but this
is it
just...
like better than Phyrexian Negator? Like, honestly, Phyrexian Negator is just so cool. I
not
want to see
for the cool
back.
points,
Come on,
no,
please.
for sure. This is a bit better
There's
than
like this
Phyrexian
Instagram
Negator,
account
though.
that posts like all these pre-modern awesome foil Chinese cards or Japanese cards. And they recently posted Phyrexian Negator and Japanese foil. And I'm like, dude, I'm down. I don't even care how much it costs.
Drool. Bolt it.
Like
I'm not going to...
€500 or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, that's a gentleman's agreement, right? To board out all the balls, because
hashtag worth it.
Because it's such a nice card.
I mean, there's a reason they cease to exist. Oh, no, actually, it's the other way around, right? They exist to cease. I don't remember. Okay, guys, should we move on to Waxing Bauble, because that's the one we actually didn't talk about on the last podcast.
Oh, did we forget?
Please.
Yeah. How did we forget? I don't remember. But it's an artifact, 1 colorless. Whenever a player casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast that spell, counter that spell. And you can also tap and sacrifice for 1 colorless and draw a card, so you can cycle it in that regard. Mm-hmm. So people already talked about, like, this is like the force killer for combo, something like that. Has it shaped up like this? Because you put it like also in like pretty high slot in your tier list.
Yeah, I think it has. It's really good. It's not like going to break the format, but being able to just for 1 artifact mana and then cycle later turn of forces is incredibly strong. And it's been played in like Doomsday and Post, and yeah, like I was watching...
I've seen this like as a 4 in Post, right?
Yeah.
That's like true futurism. Who
exactly.
won a challenge, I want to say, with that.
Yeah, he won his challenge with it, with 4 of them. And I was watching him play a couple of games, and he just like plays it, and he gets to crop rotation at will and do whatever he wants and resolve rings and Khans and stuff. Because yeah, forces are off. It's a big thing. And then like if you draw multiple, you can just cycle them. It's a really nice thing to grab off sagas. Like I think 1 in Painter probably. It's there's like the Turbo Mystic Forge kind of deck as well. Loves this. Like you don't like forces on your big payoff spells, because you usually have like 1 or 2 of them in your drawers, and then now you just like play this, and this has to eat a force. Like Defense Grid can even be played around.
It straight up has to eat a force, right? Especially like for the blue-black decks. Like the blue-black decks, they don't even have a way to remove it properly, unless you're playing like I don't know, engineered explosives or something.
Yeah. So yeah, this card I find it kind of boring, so I'm not like super enthusiastic about it, but it's just really strong.
It has definitely. Like it has like a really wide range of things it can do, right? Like as you mentioned, it can be something like a pseudo Zended Swarm type of thing, where your spells really can't get countered by free spells at least. But I've also seen this card in like sideboards, in like fair deck sideboards, where they use Vexing Bauble specifically to combat Mox Opal decks, right? Mox Opal, Lionside Diamond, Lotus Petal, that sort of jam. Like for example, the Feet Artisan decks, but also like Lance, Maverick, that sort of like those decks that have a really hard time playing against these super fast mana decks. Like Collector Oof is nice and all, but it costs 2 mana, and sometimes you don't have the second turn. I even saw Vexing Bauble in an Ad Nauseam Tendrils deck playing LED and Lotus Petal and Besiege the Mirror, and it's a 3-off. That's a 3-off. Like what the hell?
It's the fact that you have to sacrifice it when you need to is so powerful.
Yeah, I really want to give it a try, like because the play patterns might be so off. Like you have to keep this in play and then crack it. No, you have to play your LEDs, Lotus Petals first, and then follow up with Vexing Bauble. And then by the time you cast your Gaia's Will or, your Besiege the Mirror, like you have to crack it, but then the forces get active again. And I don't even know how this works, man.
Yeah, I can see it being awkward there, but I think it plays amazingly in Doomsday, right? You play it, so then you resolve your Doomsday, and then you can crack it to draw into your Doomsday pile. And then by that time you just have Cyclers in your Cavern, your Oracle, and you don't really care about Force again.
Exactly. It's also like another card that draws you a card which is not blue, right? Like hashtag Pyroblast proof. So
yeah.
There's a lot of applications for this card. Yeah, I really like how you can cantrip this card to sort of like make sure that your Doomsday resolves, and then later you crack it because you're gonna go off with Cavern of Souls, which
kind of reminds me of Senseless Dividing Top in that regard. I guess you still have to pay 1 mana to draw the extra card, which like makes a huge difference. But yeah, that's why people love Top and Doomsday. I guess part of the reason.
Mm-hmm. Oh, totally. Yeah, you can keep it in play. Like imagine if your top card of your pile is like Force of Will, and you have like 1 mana open and you pass the turn, and you're like if your opponent casts something crazy, then you can always crack it, and then you can also like unlock your Force of Will, which you just draw.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah, when the opponent casts like Makers of the Moon, right? I saw you play the other day where you were like so ready to beat everything, and then the opponent just goes like Makers of the Moon. You're like, oh my god, my entire life is shit now.
Every single time, dude. But
yeah,
look,
it's just like the best anti-Doomsday card.
That's the thing, right? Like if I'm allowed to cast Thassa's Oracle off Cavern of Souls, then my opponents are obviously also allowed to cast Magus of the Moon off Cavern of Souls. It's like
it's only fair.
It's like a lose-lose. It's like a lose-lose situation,
Yeah. Cool. And I guess that card will also be a thing in Vintage, right? Vexing Bauble.
It's huge in Vintage. Oh yeah.
It would be totally insane in Vintage, especially on the play, right? If you get to run this out and stop all their Moxen, good luck.
Yeah, it feels like Chalice basically, which is restricted because it's too oppressive on the play. So I think there's a very fair chance it gets restricted in Vintage. Justin doesn't seem convinced, so I'm just kind of like taking the Vintage community's word for it. But I wouldn't be surprised to see it restricted in Vintage.
Cool. Talking about another card that will surely get banned in Legacy now, Wrath of the Skies. I did not expect to see this card over here, and I think we also didn't talk about it last time, so very quickly. Sorcery, 2 white and X. You get X energy counters, then you may pay any amount of energy counters. Destroy each artifact, creature, and enchantment with mana value less than or equal to the amount of energy that was paid. So basically, like the base value is like you pay 2 white, and then you destroy each creature, artifact, and enchantment for 0, and then this is kind of like
Pernicious Deed. Yeah, in white.
Yeah.
Like a white control or mid-range decks love Pernicious Deed. If we didn't talk about it before, that was like a mistake. This card is so strong. It's like absolutely insane against Saga decks as well.
It's actually good. I was like trying to poke fun at it.
No, this card is amazing.
This is a real deal? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, enlighten us.
Well, yeah, it's white, destroy Saga and everything it got. Like, there's a lot of decks that just play to the board, right? Like, it's a 4 mana destroy everything with mana cost 2 or less. Like, it's a 3 mana kind of sweeper against Delver and DRCs and stuff. It's just very flexible. Like, the last couple of days, I've been playing some leagues with Miracles, with Brain Surge to see how it is. And I had 2 of these in the sideboard, and after the first league, immediately put them in the main deck, 2 of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Like,
It's quite the statement.
I played against like lands and a cauldron deck, and it just sweeps everything up. It gets the saga, the tokens, the exploration, the sphere of resistance, like everything. It just kills everything. It's a pernicious deed in white. That's just the way to say it. So I think white likes pernicious deed effects more than green and black as well, as like a controlling color.
So, which kind of white decks is this going to go into? Because I feel like these days white decks are usually like creature decks, like, like Cephalid Breakfast, Death and Taxes, that kind of stuff. We always talk about how like Chess-K isn't really a thing, right?
Yeah, I think.
So where do you see this going to?
This won't go in Breakfast because I think Serenity is still better there because it kills ley lines. But this D&T will play 2 or 3 of these, I'm sure. I haven't actually. I think my friend Jamie's playing 2. I haven't really checked.
But D&T is playing this?
I think so. D&T.
I thought like this was going to be good against D&T.
It is good against D&T as well, but it's whoever casts it chooses what they're killing, right? So it's just good with and against any like kind of white mid-range or control deck. So I mean, we make fun of Jeskai, but like people play it. It'll be definitely played there. There's like black-white mid-range decks, like scam decks as well. Anything that could support double white is probably interested in trying this at least. Mm-hmm. Just because it's like, I really think so.
I'm still not convinced, but I'm gonna trust you on this. Like, if you move, like that's usually a pretty big tell, right? If you have it in the sideboard and you immediately feel compelled to move it to the main board because you felt it's so good.
Yeah,
that's something I believe in. Like, if that happens, if you can move a sideboard card to the main deck, that's always a great thing.
Yeah, I basically I had 2 prismatic endings in the main, and after 1 league, immediately put Wrath of the Skies.
You still have prismatic ending in your main deck in the year 2024.
Well, Vexing
I know
Vexing
the card
Bauble is a
burnt
thing.
like.
This is a Miracles deck with 7 forces, so it was to kill Vexing Baubles.
I see.
And so
I was gonna say, like the card burned hot and bright, and then it kind of went away. But if you tell me prismatic ending is coming back, okay.
Yeah, prismatic ending is the idea was for Vexing Bauble probably because it's just Miracles. It's not a great deck, but I had 7 forces in it, so yeah, I think you need to do that. But yeah, Wrath of the Skies picks it up and everything else as well. So we'll see. I think I rate this card really highly, so we'll see how it shakes out.
Dude, I've always liked Pernicious Deed, even though I've been on the receiving end of it for a long time.
This card is insane versus Painters, so I don't want it to be around, but it's crazy good against us.
Okay, so now there's a ton of cards that I'm definitely not going to read out, but you told me that the Eldrazi deck is a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, is that like, how real is it? I saw that it did like really well in that challenge, and I guess we're going to quickly go over the names because there's Kozilek's Command, It That Heralds the End, Glaring Fleshraker, Eldrazi Linebreaker, Null Drifter, cool name, and Thief of Existence. Do people play all of these ones? And I guess also like the Eldrazi Instant, what's it called? Sawing Microspan, which actually is a creature, I just realized.
So I'll give us a rundown of them quickly because I think the Eldrazi deck that's been doing well is basically colorless. I played against PVDH in a league and he was playing all these new cards, and then I think someone top-aided a challenge. What's looked most impressive to me is Kozilek's Command, It That Heralds the End, and Glaring Fleshraker. These 3 cards kind of combo together to go off. So what you'll often do, the Glaring Fleshraker will basically burn people out from almost 20, especially if you have 2 of them.
Really?
So it's going to cost you 1 mana if you have an Eye in play. So you play 1, then you play a second one, you make a colorless spawn token off it. That ETB deals 1 damage to the opponent. Then you've got 2 of these guys. Then you play a Lotus Petal. That makes 2 more mana. So the Lotus Petal is essentially a Black Lotus because it's like creating 2 more spawns. And then from that, you could play like an It That Heralds the End. It's essentially free because you're making 2 more spawns. And everything you're casting is like dealing them damage as well. And what's really important is because it's Command. Again, this is all with like an Eye of Ugin in play, which you don't always have, but it's extra busted with these new cards now. Because its Command is like 2 colorless, then X. One of the options is to create X spawn tokens. So with an Eye of Ugin in play, you're discounting your command by 2, so it's essentially free as long as you make the spawn. And then you can also do target player scries X, then draws a card. So if you have like 5 spawns and an Eye of Ugin play, you could cause its command for 5, make 5 more spawns, so it's essentially casting for free, and then scry 5 and draw a card. You might find another command, and if you have a Glaring Fleshraker in play, you've also dealt them 6 damage of pings with that.
Okay.
And then you've got a second
now we're
command.
getting there. Okay. I'm slowly warming up to it.
So also, if you have It That Heralds the End in play, all your colors creatures get +1/+1. If you're playing your Kozilek's Command for 7 or more, which is again like kind of 5 with Eye of Ugin and less if you have it discounted from other things, then it's gonna cost 1 less as well, so it actually nets you mana. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the deck, like can burn people out of nowhere. It's happened to me a couple of times. I've had PVDH deal like 14 or 15 to me out of nowhere in a turn. I had lethal on board with a huge frog, and he just burnt me out from 15 or 14. But
are we talking about like turn 4, turn 5?
Yeah,
can
like
do that,
turn 4, like turn 3, turn 4. There's a few screenshots on Twitter going around that have like showing this kind of going off. So it's hard to conceptualize until you actually see it. But like when you have glaring flesh rate in play,
we definitely gotta link like a list. We definitely gotta link one of the lists in the show notes here.
You have to kind of see it to kind of understand what it's doing. But at the same time, it's still playing Eldrazi Temples, Ayavugan, Thornot Seers, and like Endless Ones
Reality
and Mimics.
Smashers?
I played against Reality Smashers today. I haven't seen it in all the lists though. So I mean, it killed me today. I was playing Miracles and I died.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I think most lists are without
it. At that point, it's probably not playing any Disruption anymore, right? I mean, if you're also playing like Lotus Petals and stuff, like
plays Chalices.
You're running out of slots for... Oh, you also play Chalice, okay.
Yeah,
I guess you gotta cut something, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the Reality Smasher is kind of the cut.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's playing all these new cards. So yeah, Glaring Fleshraker at the Hills the end, and because it's Command are the big ones, big new additions in colorless. But then Eldrazi Linebreaker is so pushed. It's crazy as well. So it's 3 mana, 3/3. So 1 a colorless and a red. The red is the hard part. So you can like get rid of Cavern and Pedal. But
I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah, no, for sure. But then it's 3 mana, 3/3 trample. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gains haste and gets +X/+0 until the end of turn, but X the number of Eldrazi you control. And so especially with the Glaring Fleshraker, like making spawns and the Kozilek's Command making spawns, you have a lot of Eldrazi in play. And also like it just comes in and is a 4/3 trample haste itself on its own. With the Lord at the
that's the baseline, right?
Exactly. And then the next turn you play your Thornot Seer, and then that's going to be a 6/4 haste because it's going to pump it and it can attack itself. So it's super aggressive, like this card. So I think if they can get the red mana okay, this card is worth the slot in these decks. It's just whether it can make red mana.
Like, how would you do it? Like, you would have like 4 Caverns, 4 Lotus Petal, and then like, they played Simian Spirit Guide at times, but I can't see that being a thing.
Oh yeah, I think they've cut them now. But yeah, maybe that's the approach, or there might be some kind of like filtery lands. I'm not sure. It doesn't sound good, but yeah, Cavern and Pedal are the obvious choices, and after that, it's probably not quite enough. I don't know. But yeah,
but the payoff is insane.
Yeah,
when you put it like that, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, so these are the.
I mean, that's also like a big part about like why Reality Smasher was good, right? Like the 5/5 trample is good, but also like the instant attack, like the flash, the haste.
Yeah, it comes to play taps and attacking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
it comes to play tapped and attacking.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the best way to put it.
So yeah, Linebreaker is like kind of new Smasher, but it costs 3 mana. Yeah. So those are like the really aggressive ones. After that, we have Null Drifter, Thief of Existence, and Sowing Microspawn. So these go in different archetypes. So Null Drifter is seeing some play in like Stifle Knot, which is pretty cool. So you can go like end of turn, dress down, and then you cast it. You still draw the 2 cards because it's a cast trigger. Then you have a 4/4 Flying Annihilator for 3 mana, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
And like the floor is still 3 mana, draw 2, which is fine, which like can't be countered really. So it has put up some results there.
Very quickly, like Eye of Ugin reduces the evoke cost, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You may cast the spell for its evoke cost. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Like you can evoke it for a single blue then.
It does exactly. Yeah. Or you can like.
I guess in the Dreadnought deck you mentioned, they probably wouldn't be playing Eye of Ugin.
Yeah, I have seen some blue versions as well. I've seen blue-red Eldrazi played. There's some new, like with the one we just mentioned, the Eldrazi Linebreaker and stuff. But I think Null Drifter really just slots into like Stifle Knot, and it is good enough there because the Stifle Knot decks kind of struggled with card advantage because you're trying to go into this, play my Dreadnought, stifle it, hope that's enough, or just down. And now Null Drifter, I've played against the deck a couple of times in the leagues, and it can just play this kind of control your game with draw 2s and stuff. So that's cool.
So yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And I guess the other two, they go into more like the green style of decks. Like I've seen the Sawing Micro Span, whatever that actually is supposed to be in the artwork.
It's such a weird artwork, isn't it?
Mold.
So this is my vote for the best.
Eldrazi Fungus.
I think this is the best Eldrazi in the set.
Eldrazi Fungus. Is it?
Yeah, might be.
This one is it's not so strong.
It's like not an aggressive threat, but it's basically the new, like, can we say this is a new Primeval Titan in the format? Is that like too
That's fair.
too stretch? Because like this is a 4-off in mono green Cloud Post, and like that deck was like so defined by Primeval Titan, because like if you land that guy or if it attacks, you get 2 lands. Obviously, it's mostly like Cloud Post lands and like an Iofu, even a Tabernacle to disrupt opponents. But this Sowing Micro Spawn, you don't even have to resolve this guy. Like it says, when you cast this spell, search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield, untapped, then shuffle. And it's a 4-mana 3/3 and has a kicker cost of 2, 1 and a colorless. And when you cast a spell, if it was kicked, this exile target land. I don't know how often that comes up. Like it might, but the most relevant part is that it's a 4-mana 3/3. Can be counted, doesn't really matter, but you still get the land untapped onto the battlefield. And
because you get the card when you cast the spell, right? That's
exactly
to get the effect around counter spells. Unless they have Stifle.
Like you can't. This is so insane to me, because like you can basically play that mono green Cloud Post deck without having a single. Like you can beat all Force of Wills in the world. Not only because you have Vexing Bulb in your deck, but also because all your mana ramping doesn't actually require you to resolve a spell. And then you have Emrakul, the Eon's Thorn, which again cannot be countered. And dude, it's just nasty. I feel like the more and more I see these new Eldrazi's or like a lot of these cards in the new set, the more I think that Stifle is gonna be like a really important tool in Legacy going forward, which I really don't want to. Which I don't want to say as a Thassa's Oracle player, You
see me lying down on your couch, like ready to like have you whisper into my ears.
Yeah, because that's a great trade-off, right? Like a 4-mana 3/3 is not that exciting, but if you get to stifle that that cast trigger, then you really get them, I think.
So, guys, I for me, it's kind of hard to accept. And I mean, you've played a lot more than I have recently. But like, this is a thing in Legacy, because I look at these cards and they are so insanely overcosted. But yeah, Eye of Ugin is a thing. But like, we're talking about like 4-mana cards, 3-mana cards, and some of them can't even properly be cast with, like, let's say, I guess most of them can be cast with Ancient Tomb.
You got to keep in mind, these are like going in decks that have either like Eldrazi Temples, or there's the new kind of tech for Cloud Post is they've gone down on Glimmer Post. They're playing, there's a new land that counts as every land type, and then they play that and just 4 Urza's Tower. So an Urza's Tower with that land taps for 4 mana off 2 lands.
Wait. Oh god! Oh my god!
Yeah.
You can basically like get Tron with like 2 lands, kind of.
Exactly.
It's not
the most
literally
beautiful thing I've ever seen. Yeah.
No.
Because there are also games where you have like 1 Cloud Post and 1 Urza's Tower, and you'd be kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's kind of exciting that this kind of bullshit actually flies in Legacy right now. Is this like the phase where like we have all these amazing ideas and like somebody even like wins a challenge with it here and there, and then like 6 months from now we're gonna be like, oh god, yeah, I wish we would still play Urza's Tower, but the frog is just taken completely over.
I think everyone's accepted that we're in a honeymoon phase and we're going to enjoy our 3 or 4 weeks, and then something's got to happen. But
is this maybe the proper way to play Magic or Legacy, like to just enjoy these continuous honeymoon phases that keep coming up again?
Yeah, probably.
Like who knows? Like next set, I don't know, Apes is gonna be the big thing. Like right now, Eldrazi became a thing, and then like you move on, and like even birds are coming back. We already saw like a playable bird here, right? A very playable one.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, I'm playing and enjoying Legacy like more than I have in months, even though I know Scam is like the best it's ever been, and something needs to happen. But you're right, it's a honeymoon phase, and I'm totally aware of that, and I'm having a blast playing it. So, I mean, it's a game that you play for fun.
Like how we're having like it's kind of funny how we're having a honeymoon phase during like a phase where everybody is like ban grief, ban grief, ban grief.
yeah.
It's almost like there's like the plague, in Europe in the Middle Ages. Everybody has the plague, but we're still having like a good time. It's somebody's birthday, we're having cake, and everybody's like running around full of plague. But you gotta make the best of it. It kind of teaches you about life. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it right now, but I just enjoyed like how we're enjoying this, even though like everybody's like, yeah, fuck Scam.
But everyone says fuck Scam, and they're right.
Yeah.
even the Scam players. So
yeah.
Okay, cool. So I got 3 more cards I want to quickly talk about before we close it out today. First one is Brain Search, right? Callum, you played with this quite a bit. That's the new like for draw for brainstorm.
So I just started playing with it yesterday, but like there's just so many things to try. It's been on my to-do list, and it's good. I really liked it. It's I've been playing in Miracles with 4 Terminus and 2 Entreat the Angels, and what it allows the thing to do.
Truly honeymoon phase.
Yeah, I mean, I named the deck "Let's Get You to Bed, Grandma" because it's like a very old school deck. It's got 2 Snapcaster Mages in there. It's good though. So basically, the idea is, first of all, like having more brainstorm effects lets you cast your brainstorms earlier in the game, because with the deck you're always really constrained that you want to save your brainstorm to put back the Terminus and stuff, but Brain Surge lets you then put these back later, or the Entreats, and use the brainstorm to find your land drops and find either a Force of Will or a Source of Power, just depending on the matchup, which is what it always wants to do. And then it's both an enabler and it's your card advantage engine in one. So I was playing 4. I think 3 could be fine, but you don't really want to go lower because it is your, again, card advantage engine, and you can Mystic Sanctuary it back, and every time you cast it you're going up on cards, and you're setting up your deck to be doing like these powerful things like Terminus. So I think the card is just good enough to play as like a 2-of in blue mid-range decks as well, like maybe Grixis Control and stuff. The obvious weakness is Bowmasters, so I was playing like 2 Spell Snares and a Stern Scolding as well to try and get them when it goes in the stack.
Cool.
But
dude, like we're going way back. Like you're going back to Spell Snare.
Spell Snare has been awesome because it counts as Frog as well. It's been really good.
Oh shit, yeah. And Beanstalk and Orcs.
You're only unleashing this wisdom like 1 hour into the podcast. Spell Snare is like properly back in Legacy.
I think it's good at the moment. I've liked it. Although I've got more hot tech. My current favorite tech is Annul. You remember?
Wait, what are you gonna annul?
Necrodominance, Beans, Leyline Binding, the One Ring, Vexing Bauble, Fable of the Mirror Breaker.
You're insane. Dude.
I've been playing 2 in Delver and Miracles, and it's been so good. It's against the Stompy decks, countering Chalice, Blood Moons. They play Rings as well. Annul has been absolutely awesome. So it's a role play. It's like a sideboard card, but yeah. That's been my hot tech because it counters Necrodominance as well. Is the main idea.
And it's a 1 blue counter target artifact or enchantment spell.
Exactly.
Dude, that's so specific, you know. Like you got it to me like, is it really so much better than Spell Pierce?
Yeah,
because Spell Pierce hits most things too.
Because the Necrodominance deck plays 8 Spirit Guides. The Stompy decks like just have Soul Lands and Spirit Guides themselves as well. Like, what are you trying to Spell Pierce that you want to Spell Pierce that Annul doesn't?
I guess Planeswalkers,
dude,
that's pretty much it, but nobody does that anymore.
I mean, like, no respect for show and tell, you know?
No.
I guess you can still, okay.
No, just no.
You can counter the sneak attack. I really think Annul is actually, like, in a good spot at the moment. I've been...
Is it really legit?
I've been impressed by it.
I'm gonna make that the chapter mark on this episode.
Okay.
Like Annul is good in Legacy right now. 1 hour 17 or something.
I don't know. I've played about like 10, 15 leagues this week and last week, and Annul's been a 2-of in like every blue sideboard, and I've been really happy with them.
You know, there's one problem with Annul though. There's no old frame foil printing of it.
Dude,
there's literally only one old frame foil printing of it in first place, which was the Saga.
Saga's not, Well, luckily I don't like foils. So.
Yeah, I did. I just looked it up, and I thought that Annul only existed in Mirrodin, but it got so many reprints. Oh my goodness! And it even came out in Ursa Saga. Oh my gosh! Dude, that
does it even have all the money? Like it has that's Theros something. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. There's this like
Kaltheim too. Yeah.
And there's a World Championship deck.
Okay, I mean, like no one cares about Kaltheim, but like, dude, so it's a Saga and Mirrodin. Holy smokes!
The funny thing with this, when I had the idea, I went to like on Magic Online, search for it, and put the Urza Sagas in because they're nice. And I'm like, I'm sure there's a more power creep version of this card. There's got to be. Like, it's a really old card. There's got to be a better one, but there's not. It is what it is. But
nothing beats good. I mean, there's a reason it wasn't John Finkel's World Championship deck.
Yeah,
after
there we
all.
go. It's also like one of the very few cards that can just counter a Beans. Really? Like, is this in Spell Snare? And obviously just counter spell. Like, it's very hard to go 1-for-1 against Beans. And so you're...
Yeah, and you even trade up on mana.
Exactly.
I like it.
So, that's my...
Honestly, by the way, help me out. In my head, why does it feel so much better to Spell Snare Beans than to Annul Beans? I don't know. It feels just like so much better.
Well, Spell Snare is like the most feel-good card in the world. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's true.
Like today, I would cast a Brain Surge and then Spell Snare the Orcish Bowmasters multiple times, and like that feels good.
Dude.
Yeah.
Come at me, bro. Got all the spells in the world.
Although one time they pitched a Spirit Guide and cast a Veil, which destroyed me. So it's all fun and games.
You know what they're gonna do? Like the next game, they're gonna remove the Bowmasters. They're just gonna play Underworld Dreams. Just like, yeah, I'm done with this shit.
Yeah, that gets annulled. Try it.
Underworld Dreams, good. Oh shit! Yeah.
Come at me, bro.
I was gonna try to get around spell snare.
I'm ready. I'm ready for everything.
Oh man, you're far too advanced for us. Like we can't even comprehend your thoughts.
But then
Cool.
they'll play show and tell because annul and spell snare don't do it. There we go.
That's the next way to play around. Okay. So Brain Search, is that like a card that you expect to see like 2 years from now in Legacy? I mean, it's so hard to say these days, right? Like 2 years is
probably not.
kind of crazy
Probably not in
timeframe.
2 years. I put it in the strong category. I think. I think it's like quite low there. It's okay. It's not amazing.
It's the lowest in the strong category.
Yeah, I think it's a decent card and it's worth playing, and it is quite a boon to the Miracles deck. What is also a big boon for the Miracles deck is this Wrath of the Skies and the blue Blood Moon, Harbinger of the Seas. Like that's really good there as well.
Flat Moon.
The Water Moon, the whatever.
Yeah, we call it Flat Moon.
Flood Moon, that's it, my bad. Yeah, exactly. So that's nice. But I think, Brain Surge is good in the Miracle Shell, and I think it is, especially if Bowmasters ends up getting banned at some point, it is pretty strong. But like, yeah, it's just a decent card. That's it.
Do you think Bowmasters will actually be banned? I don't really see that.
I don't know. We could have another episode maybe, but the situation is
Honestly,
very complicated.
Probably like one of the most miserable episodes.
yeah. I'm not very excited for it.
Everybody listening, like if you see this, should Bowmasters be banned? Episode 172, like I would skip that one.
Everyone has been banned. Everyone has been bored of this discussion for longer than Bowmasters has been legal. It feels like it's just
right.
Yeah. But it's complicated now because before it was like, just ban Grief and then maybe Bowmasters and Beans as well. But now it's like Modern Horizons has had much more of a bigger impact than most people thought, I think, especially for me. So who knows?
Okay. So should we quickly jump to the two, actually basically the last card on your list? That's the only one that's in the fine category. So it's not an S tier, top tier, or strong. This one is the top of fine.
Oh yeah.
And I've seen this card floating around a lot, and that's Disruptor Flute for 2 colorless. Artifact Flash. As Disruptor Flute enters the battlefield, choose a card name. Spells with the chosen card name cost 3 more to cast. And activated abilities of sources with a chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. So it's kind of like Chill and Pithing Needle.
Yeah,
and it has Flash.
This is really good. I was too low on it for sure at the beginning, and I think this is even too low. It's a really strong sideboard card, I think, especially for like Ancient Tomb decks or whatever. It's just a good card. The Flash adds so much to it that it's worth an extra mana over Pithing Needle. And then, like, Cloudpost is main decking it because you want to Pithing Needle stuff, but then against Doomsday, you can then name Doomsday and slow them down a ton. So it's a really good card. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not awkward. Like, if, for Pithing Needle, like, when you had these cards, especially in the main deck in these decks, I think the awkward situation was always like, maybe I can use it against combo. I'm going to try to guess their fetch land. Or there's like this, like you name Street Wraith or something. Like you feel like maybe you can also like squeeze out some extra value here and there because you already have the card anyway. But Disruptor Flute like adds a second, like entirely different approach, right? I imagine, like in my head, I imagine this, you either stop activated abilities or you stop spells. And you rarely ever do both because then you have to pay 4 mana and play Null Chamber or I don't know, like you play something that nobody ever plays. But Disruptor Flute does both for 2 mana, which in Legacy these days is basically a turn 1 spell, and you get the Flash. Like you kind of get to wait for the opponent to shoot first and then you get to dodge. Whereas as opposed to like dodging blindly.
Yeah, like I always hated bringing in Pithing Needle against decks with Planeswalkers because you're reactively playing it after they've got one activation based on the one they play, but here you can leave it up.
Speak for yourself. Turn 1, chase the Mind Sculptor, pass.
Yeah. And then it'll always get meltdowned and do nothing.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, this is a really cool card. I think this will see play in sideboards for years.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that good.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the only thing that feels like awkward about it feels like kind of middle of the roadish, right? But maybe that's just enough what you need, like especially the disruption on like making the spell cost more.
That's why I rated it low,
unplayable.
because it's just so middle of the roady. But it's the split of Pithing Needle and Meddling Mage-esque and the Flash. It's just enough boring stuff to be good.
Yeah, I feel like the Flash might be putting it over the edge.
Yeah, it helps a ton. This wouldn't be played if it didn't have Flash, I'm sure. Yeah.
You like that card, Kai?
like yeah, like I like it, like not as much as a combo player, but like you can use this, play this at end of turn or any time and just like randomly name Force of Will, for example, if you feel like it, or really any card that you're afraid of, like, if you're on a like sort of like a combo deck maybe, or randomly
It's kind of
name,
funny, yeah.
or like name like a removal spell or pyroblast, or really anything if you're on a combo deck that cast a couple of like blue spells maybe. I honestly, I gotta say, like, I don't get the flash part. I don't know why the flute has flash, and I also don't understand why it needs flash. Like the Planeswalker example was kind of nice, but other than that, like if you're on a Cloud Post deck and you play against a Wasteland deck, I can't imagine you holding this in your hand until your opponent, I don't know,
plays a Wasteland.
Plays a Wasteland,
anyways.
Exactly, yeah, because then it's kind of like too late.
Well, the idea is against these nasty Doomsday players, you let them do all the Doomsday stuff.
Dude.
And then in response to the last cycle, you flash it in and name Thassa's Oracle.
And then they have like Laboratory Maniac.
You're such an animal, dude. If anyone plays this and names Thassa's Oracle, I'm going to leave the podcast.
Oh, it's so happening. Like, I would bring this in against Doomsday, so yeah. XL2 Spirit Guides and cast it. Wow.
That's cool. I mean, like, if you fuck up with the card name, you can still like weld it out and weld it in.
Oh yeah, I'll do that.
And kind of fix it later on, you know.
Yeah.
And speaking of
imagine you having this on the field saying Doomsday, and then I finally have enough Dark Rituals to cast Doomsday, and then you like weld it in and say, Thassa's Oracle now.
Easy. Okay.
I mean, it's the moment when you flip the table, yeah.
And then you mill the Thassa's Oracle, and then I'll like weld it out, name on Earth. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, dude! Stop.
Speaking of weldering, there's one more card I actually added just last night to our show notes because I saw that one in a Painter deck list. I don't know if it was Kanakan or somebody else, but somebody did well with Painter, which of course caught my attention. And this one's Legion Extruder. It's an artifact, a colorless and a red. When Legion Extruder enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target. And 2 colorless, tap, sacrifice another artifact, create a 3/3 colorless golem creature, artifact creature token. Is that... Like, I don't hate it. I like that you can sacrifice other artifacts to make, like, blockers or attackers even.
I think this is really, really good. No, like, it fixes one of those, like, one of the artifact problems of, what's it called?
Having too many artifacts.
For example.
Well, Collector Roof stops you activating it. It can kill a Collector Roof, on ETB.
Yeah, it's like it. Maybe it looks a little strange because it says artifact on it, but I see it as a sorcery speed removal spell that also has like a lot of upsides to it in the long game. You get to keep making 3/3s for free, kind of for free.
The first card it reminded me of was Callum helped me out, our 4-mana goblin that like deals 2 damage when it comes into play that people used to play in
Twin
Painter.
Shot Sniper.
Twin Shot Sniper, yeah. This is kind of like the same thing, right? You get to kill like a Delver or something. And then it has like put some potential extra upside at some point, and you can weld it in and out. I'm not sure it's quite there yet. Like I really don't know how to evaluate the second ability. Like I would love the second ability if it was just like straight up tap, sacrifice an artifact, create a golem. I don't think that would be too crazy in Legacy, but maybe it would.
I'll admit I've not tried it in Painter because it looks too... Like, my whole thing is I don't want to play cards, even in the main deck, that are weak against Meltdown or Null Rod effects after sideboard, and it can kill a Collector Roof fine, but like Painter doesn't really have a problem with Collector Roof, so maybe it's good for other artifact decks, but like we already have Bolts and Furies and stuff. It's never really been a problem, and I don't know.
But can't this card replace Lightning Bolt in your Painter deck?
No, I don't think so.
Not really. Well,
I mean, if you play like, it doesn't really replace Swords to Plowshares and Bolt.
The other thing for me is
do you even play Bolt?
I'm not playing Bolt at the moment, really, because it doesn't just kill. It just doesn't kill very much. Like Dalthy is the thing you want to kill. It doesn't kill Frog or Troll or anything. And my thing with this, when it came out, it was like, okay, this is really interesting, but it doesn't kill a Delirious DRC, which is like the only reason I play Bolt really is to kill Dalthy and DRC. So this, it kills the Dalthy, but and it feels too low impact for me. But Kanakan plays it in Painter, and he does well. He keeps top 8ing lots of challenges, so it seems okay to me, but not exciting enough, and I haven't got around to trying it.
It looks like the kind of card that I'm going to play a playset of, because it doesn't really matter whether you buy 1 or 4. It's like the shipping is the big expense. And then it sits in my maybe deck box for years, and we'll see. I don't hate it, but it might be just like you sometimes call these cards like mopey or something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the best way to put it.
Like, it can come in, it'll maybe kill a creature. It's cool that you can like weld it out and weld it back in again, but you usually have better things to be doing than that. And then you sacrifice an artifact like a treasure and you make a 3/3, and then it just doesn't sound exciting to me. Like you could do more.
The more I think about the play patterns, the more that I think about the play patterns, I think Fury is just straight up better. And then the games where Legion Extruder could be better than Fury, like you get destroyed so hard by Meltdown. Like it's not even funny.
Yeah, I think Can is playing a couple of these in his build with the 1 rings. So this is another way to sacrifice the ring, that you don't rely on goblins to be unsummoning sick and stuff. Okay. So that's one potential synergy I've just realized. That's it's okay. I don't know. I think it's
okay. It rarely cuts it.
Yeah, that's my thing. Like, I wouldn't want to try more than one, because it feels like such a mopey card and weak to sideboard cards to like be taking up 3 or 4 slots with. Is how I feel. So
I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
But how do you feel about Painter in the first place right now? Because I have a pretty big important tournament coming up. I'm qualified for I think we call it like the South German Invitational or something in Tübingen in something like 2 or 3 months.
Okay, well,
Kai, are you qualified?
No, but I might go.
You might just go, just like for fun.
Yeah,
to Tübingen, like all the way to Tübingen.
Why not? You only live once. I
love that. Yeah, you want to go kite surfing? Yes. Okay, awesome. I love that. Love that vibe.
You want to go? Yes.
So, how good is Painter right now? Give me the full truth.
Well, if you look at the tier list, the very top 2 cards are blue. That's really good for Painter. Frog and Nardu being blue is big. We can add Vexing Bauble to the deck. We didn't really get many other new toys, which is a shame. But I think Painter got a bit better. Like, we're going to see less Douthies, maybe, and just like more things we can blast. So I'm back on the 6 or 7 blasts life now. And I think
I was just going to ask you, right? We were on like 5 blasts for such a long time.
Yeah, I played 3 or 4 like a month ago. But now I think it's back to 6 or 7. And just like kind of nice normal mono red is good. I think Magus is like in a good position to be hitting these Nardu decks that are like Zenithy and whatever and stuff. So yeah, I'm a bit higher on Painter than I was 3 or 4 weeks ago. I think it's cool. The problem is like the Necro matchup is just really bad. You can put, like, at the moment, my idea for mono red is to have 4 Mammoret Trap and 4 Thorn of Amethyst in the sideboard and hope it works. I might splash white for Wear Tear, because if you get a white mana out, you can Wear Tear the Necro before their end step.
Oh, okay, before they can draw. Yeah. I see.
So that's another direction. And Swords is just good. So yeah, I think Painter's a little bit better. I think it's still kind of like upper tier 2 kind of area, but it's pretty good.
Oh, still. I mean, that's a pretty decent place to be.
Yeah, I think so. Like, okay. I think Painter's pretty good against the Grief Reanimate lines. You struggle against the Entomb Reanimate Atraxa kind of stuff, but I think Scam might go even more fair because the Frog is so good, so that helps with it. Because like they discard your whole hand, and then Painter's built around having good top decks, so I don't know.
Okay.
So yeah,
everybody tune in for the next episode where I am done with Painter because shit sucks. And
I mean, you could still lose to like grief, but yeah.
Dude, I can still lose to anything. Like, you haven't seen me play in a while. I could lose to a goldfish. I might have even done that the other day. Okay, guys, I think we're gonna call it a day. Or you got something else?
There's like 2 or 3 more cards that might be worth just very quickly saying.
Let's jump to those.
So
sure.
I won't go through them in depth, but Tamio, the 1 mana 0/3 flying, I think I was too low on that card, and that's probably quite good. It's still like lower end of strong, but I've watched some videos of like It Is Unfair, Nicholas Lello playing it and stuff, and it's looked pretty good there. So I think that's one to keep your eye on. And White of the Reliquary is very good in Cradle Control, and I think there's some other decks to build with it as well. So I think that card's pretty good. And
is it really good? Like, I have such a hard time seeing it working.
I think it's good. Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
It's 2 mana, right?
It's 2 mana, it's often like 5/5 or a 6/6 with Vigilance and like getting lands. There's a new lands that ETB phases a creature out. It's very good with. I think it's a good card. You need to build around it, obviously, but I think it's pretty strong. And the last one, which is like an underperformer, that we kind of talked about is Shifting Woodland. I haven't seen it at all, basically. You know, the land with delirium and stuff. I don't know if people just haven't tried it, or I haven't seen it anywhere, basically. And I put it quite low because I felt like it was always either hard to get delirium or too expensive. But I think people just aren't trying it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how you guys feel.
I think I brought the card up last time. Yeah, I thought like it could have like a lot of awesome applications.
Yeah.
But maybe there's just like nothing. Like I think we talked about it in green white depth, I believe. And
Exactly.
I guess that is kind of worse than just like the Cloud Post variants right now.
Yeah, like delirium is just, dude, it's rough, right? The delirium
For
is
that
really,
deck especially.
it's really hard. But the face land, Talon Gates of Madara, that card is
great.
nuts. That's like a card I totally underestimated. It's a land that it's a gate. When it ETBs, up to one target creature phases out. It taps. It doesn't come into play tapped. It adds for a colorless, and for 1 tap, add 1 mana of any color. And for 4 mana, you can put Talon Gates of Madara from your hand onto the battlefield, which is kind of sweet. It's almost like an instant of some sort, but you can, any Rite of the Reliquary or Reclaimer can instantly get this, and you can especially like in a racing situation where you keep attacking with your Vigilance Rites and you can phase out like one of their attacker speed, a Merit Late, or like a Murktide Regent or something like that can actually win you the game, I think, in a couple times.
Totally
I'm really
agree.
high on this card.
Yeah. This is a big part of why white is pretty good, I think. Like, this will be a staple in white and Reclaimer decks, pretty sure. Just all of them.
Wait, we're talking about Talon Gates of Madara?
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. That card is really good. Like, phasing out creatures is insane, I think. And it even says like up to 1 target creature. It can even be one of your creatures, right? Like, so white kind of has like pseudo shroud, so to say, because you keep attacking, and whenever they play a removal spell, you can instantly get this Talon Gates of Madara and phase it out.
Yes, it's like a Sajiri Step / Maze of Ith combo.
Oh,
sort of,
you're talking about like when you get it like with like Reclaimer or Night of Reclaimer.
Exactly.
Okay. I was a little bit slow on that for a moment.
Yeah,
or you can
like any crop rod effect, basically.
Yeah, or you can pay the mana from your hand and put it to play. Another thing you can do with it is if you have it in hand, you play an Uro for the 3 mana, and then you put it in as your land off the Uro, and then phase the Uro out.
Oh, dude, and then you keep it around. Oh my god.
That's actually kind of
This
funny.
could be like be a real. Why is this not legendary? By the way, this feels kind of legendary.
Because
I mean, it's a specific gate of a specific place. Come on.
Should be legendary. Let's write to Wizards of the Coast, put a sign outside them.
Says the guy who knows nothing about the lore of. Does even like Modern Horizons 3 have any kind of lore? I feel like Wizards sometimes these days they put out sets that don't even have lore.
Yeah, I don't think this does.
Just like cards by the cards.
One of the cards is a dog, and it's one of their dogs. So. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Dude, I actually kind of like the Talon Gate. I love that you guys brought that one up.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's a cool card. Really cool card.
Yeah, from the commander set, there's like the Talon Gates, the Barragoyf, and the land that makes all lands have. It has all the types of other lands. I've forgotten what it's called.
Which is, by the way, insanely expensive. I thought it was like 40 or 50 ticks or something on Magic Online these days.
Oh, is it like?
Probably because like Mark Vogt posted that he also went 5-0 with the list of Hugh Futurism, who won the challenge.
That list,
and yeah,
it's so out there. It's so different to the other Cloud Post lists. I was like so amazed like how different it is. Like, that's real cool brewing. Like, so many new cards and all built around it in different directions. Really, really impressive.
Yeah, I think it also had like the Eldrazi, right? That's Microspawn or whatever it's called.
So I played against this list today, and I got wrecked by it. As miracles, they I exiled 3 of my lands and got wastelands off it. They played 1, exiled a Tundra, and then got a wasteland untapped and wastelanded me again. I was like, shit. It was brutal. Cool.
Oh, exile target land. It doesn't even say target non-basic land. It can literally straight up. Whoa.
Yeah, so they played it,
okay.
Exiled a land with the trigger, and got a wasteland untapped with the other trigger, so I couldn't even counter it. And they exiled 2 of my lands, or destroyed 2 of my lands.
Okay,
really mean.
Legacy's wild these days. Dude. I want to watch more Legacy streams again, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, I barely watch any Twitch anymore. Like, I want to say I'm 99% YouTube these days, or like something else. Mm-hmm. But I think the only person I watch on Twitch right now is Kai, actually.
Hi.
I'd also recommend playing. Like, playing is really, really fun. I've played so much the last couple of weeks, so just do it while you're in the honeymoon. But yeah,
Yeah.
where do you stream?
I'll definitely be streaming the Nardu 7-Up breakfast deck. I think tomorrow.
Nice.
Like that card is just so fun.
Are you
to
for
play.
real, Kai? Are you for real?
I think so. Yeah.
You want to
Dude-
stream tomorrow? Are you crazy? Do you want to waste your time like nothing else?
Oh, tomorrow is
football one?
shit. It's football day. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Germany versus Hungary. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go Hungary. Let's go Hungary.
Okay, and that's it. So it's Callum booted from the podcast. Actually, England also won the first game. Barely. But we'll see.
1-0, classic England ways.
Yeah. Dude, I love that you know.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're not really into football at all, right?
No, but we're the most boring team to watch, I know.
Cool. By the way, I missed it in the beginning. How long are you going to stay in Italy?
I'm here for 2 weeks. So I'm.
Oh, okay. I don't know. For some reason, I thought it was like 4 or 6 weeks.
It was originally going to be 3.5, but then it got cut a bit short.
Oh, okay. Cool. So, if you want to extend Callum's stay in...
No.
If you want to support the running of the podcast, huh?
I'm coming home to
You can
vote.
support
I
it.
have to.
Oh, you're coming. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. It's
Anyhow.
coming home. Here we go.
Yeah.
Now, if you guys want to support the running of the podcast, as I forget which platforms we are even on, like you can surely vote for us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I think Spotify is the big one these days. And of course, you can also like throw money at us on Patreon. Very big thanks for that. We want to buy more houses. I think the next one somewhere in Greece, so we can open like the everyday kitesurfing station. That would be something else. Other than that, follow us on at EternalMTG on Instagram, on X. Oh god, this is never gonna feel not awkward calling it that. But big shout outs to everybody just listening or also supporting us, like our Eternal Witness tier supporters: Franco Bowley, Kane, Colin Garassi, Alex Crow, Tim Everett, Testacula, Sebastian Holager, Guillaume, Sean Dewey, Francis Cowper, Cassandra Davis, Dylan Shoemaker, Reto Scherer, Tom Tischka, Benedict Krupa, and Severin Schwarzhuber, and our Barrow Golf tier supporters, Scott Monroe, Evan Lassar, Tom Hepp, Ian Seefeld, and Colonoscopy. Thank you so much. And Callum, like, very quick thing. Like, you mentioned you're gonna pass the reins on, right? You're no longer organizing London Legacy
Oh
Monthly.
yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, so my move. I'm going to be moving from London. It got approved by work a couple of weeks ago, so I'm going to move to Newcastle. And yeah, I was, my first thought was I'd carry on from up there, but then I was like, no, that's crazy. So yeah, after 7.5 years of doing LLMs, I'm going to hand it over. So August will be my last one.
Oh, but you're still gonna be around at times,
Yeah,
right?
I think I'll be coming back to London like once every other month at least, probably more. So
just for work, even, I guess.
Yeah, it's coming for
family and
meetings.
everything. Yeah, you kind of mentioned that when we talked about like places to go, and I recommended Bath because they have like a bath, and you said, "Oh, I'm gonna go to Newcastle because they have a Newcastle." And I was like, "Oh, this is like the kind of joke where you slap your leg, and you're like, yeah, sure." But then I realized, no, wait, he's serious. He's going to Newcastle. Okay, I've been there once for a couple of hours. Didn't see much, just a lot of smoke. But I guess that's not very representative. What goes down in Newcastle? Like, what's the most exciting thing about Newcastle?
Well, for me, I'm going to go by the coast. So the actual Newcastle city is quite normal. It's like a normal English city. There's just lots of shops and stuff. But the coast is beautiful. There's like, you can go and see seals. There's dolphins out there. You can go like rock jumping. You can go swimming. They're very sandy beaches in the summer. It's like a kind of, you're in Spain or whatever. It's amazing. And it's very quaint.
You might be the first person to compare Newcastle to Spain, but honestly, like, what do I really know about Newcastle?
No, the area I'm going to go to is called Whitley Bay or Cullercoats, and there's like 3 really sandy, beautiful beaches there, and it gets sunny, and it's just amazing. And the prices it's very, very cheap compared to London for a huge quality of life upgrade for me. Like,
I was going to ask, like, you still get your London salary, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, okay, I can see that how that makes a big difference. Yeah.
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
So make sure to post a lot of pictures from there. When are you going to move up there?
End of September / early October.
Okay, so that's September.
In a few months.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've got I need to move out at the end of August, and then got things to do.
Okay, awesome, guys. So I think we're gonna call it a day here. Callum, you gotta catch up with the guys at the pub, I hear.
Yep.
Callum, Kai still has like a Bergain to get into, and I'm gonna watch some football. Hey, here we go.
Nice.
Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in, and see you next time. Bye bye.
Sounds good. Yo, see ya.
Ciao.